What is up? It's the Afterburner. I'm Danny Austin. Cami Kepke, how you doing?
Hi there.
What's going on? All right. Flames lose 5-4 in a shootout. Let's start at the end, I guess. Let's start at the end.
Rewind it. A little redemption there for Wallstrom, a -4 rating on the night, but managed to snap the 7-game losing streak
Yeah.
for the Islanders.
So I think that there are different ways of looking at this game. So I just want you to tell me where your head's at, because there's a side of like, man, this is an Islanders team you probably want to beat, especially with a tough schedule coming up. But at the same time, like, it's now
You have points in 6 of now.
6 to 7. You fought back. They're proving they can do that. They're proving they can come back and that they're not just dead because they fall behind. So I like that. This team's overtime and shootout struggles dating back to last year seem to be continuing. But you got 4 goals. I don't exactly know what about this game. I ultimately think this continues to be progress compared to that 6-game losing streak, obviously. But I feel like we can look at this game and say, okay, in isolation, you got a point.
I feel like for the tear it down camp, this is progress. For the people who want to salvage this season, also progress. Special teams, not great, but at the end of the day, that was a very entertaining hockey game. And in the first 5-10 minutes, I did not think it would be that.
I know the first period was.
And by the end, I was glued to it. That was awesome.
For the person asking where Red Star is, those guys don't really do the weekend shows, so they bring in their friends. Hopefully, we're friends. Yeah, the B team. So it's gonna be me and Cami tonight. But yeah, I mean, we're going to talk a little bit. Elliot Friedman had a report on intermission. We're going to get to that later. I don't want to start with talking about the rebuild. That's the reality. I think that I don't want to see every game through that prism, but you're right that one way or another, this one, it depends on your perspective.
It's good in that it was a great showcase for the defensemen that you might be trying to move, but it was also a lot of progress with these young guys who've come in and just continue to be spark plugs and make everything so much better for this team.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the story right now of this team, right? Is the work that Zary, he had 2 assists tonight, and then Pasquale was just incredible. We're obviously going to talk about the goal that was so sick from actually, I think that Zary's little one-touch pass to Kadri, who then has the bank pass, cross ice. That was such a beautiful pass.
It was a great pass.
Yeah.
Do we think that Kadri meant to?
%. To be honest, I had this argument in the press box. My friend, your friend, everyone's friend, Ryan Pike, questioned it on Twitter whether that was intentional, and no, I think very much intentional. He fires that puck. That was not a puck that was intended for Pospisil just to kind of catch it. And it was perfect. It went exactly where I do. And then Pospisil, what a finish.
For how much we complain that there is not a ton of speed on the Flames, he put on the Jets to burst past Romanov and outweight Sorokin. That was beautiful. I think we should just get right to that.
We're going to. We've got things to get to. It's hilarious. Thank you guys for joining the chat. I appreciate it. Hubes in a shootout. No thanks, bubbly. I get it. I get where you're coming from on that. Poor Jonathan Huberdeau. We all in the media, myself included, I wrote a big story. Cami, you're stopping me. What's going on?
I just saw another comment. Entertaining game, even with the loss, but man, the shootout has to go. 10-minute overtime, please. We just had an argument on this.
We didn't have an argument.
We had a discussion.
I don't like 3-on-3 overtime. You want more of it. My theory that no one is ever would like to see is for the home team to get to pick how many players are on the ice for overtime. I know it's never going to happen, but I just like that more pronounced home ice advantage. You'd come into Calgary knowing these guys want 4-on-4. You'd go into New Jersey, or I don't know why I'm using New Jersey, but whatever. But thank you for making Cami's argument for her.
Shootouts are too gimmicky. Let the home team pick how many players are on the ice.
Yeah. Ultimately, though, I mean, I think that the points in 6 of 7 matters right now. And I do think that it's a little, you lose in the shootout. There's always sort of frustration and disappointment, and that's where we're at. But I just think, objectively speaking, anyone who is watching this team, you have to acknowledge that they've rounded a corner, that they look different than they did in those first sort of 8-9 games of the year. And I think we saw it. The 6th loss of that streak was against Dallas, and I think we saw real progress. And then we've seen them. They've, prior to tonight, really defensively. I do agree that it was a showcase, certainly in the offensive end for the defensemen. they allowed 4 goals. This was not an amazing defensive performance, I don't think, by the Flames. And that comes after a run where, they allowed 2 against Vancouver. They held to 1. Like, I think that they've actually been playing much better in that end. I think that fell apart a little bit tonight. But I still think, I don't know, it's a point.
It was
And
a lot. I think that there are so many positives you can take from that game. Even if you go 10 days ago, the sky was falling. We didn't know if these guys could just make a pass. And even their zone exits were so much cleaner today.
Yeah.
And they really, I'd say the second period against Vancouver and towards the end of the first period tonight, that was some of the first examples I've seen where they've really had extended offensive zone pressure where they get multiple chances, not the one and done and let's head back.
No, I agree. And I think that, look, the Kadri line right now is by far this team's best line. And I think it's, some of us in the media, I will say that, like, we'd ask Kadri earlier in the season when he wasn't putting up points, and he'd say, guys, I'm okay with where my game's at. The points aren't there, but like where my actual game is at. Huska would say that. And there were some of us who were like, God, man, take some accountability. Admit that you're not playing well. And now here is Nazem Kadri is the Flames' best player right now. And I in my mind, in my eyes. So, a little bit of patience with these guys sometimes is necessary. I thought that Lindholm had a pretty good game today. I thought, all around, I don't think we saw Huberdeau. But yeah, those what you're talking about. I think that the combination of them having speed now on the wings for Kadri to play with, and then they've figured out how to maintain pressure and keep pressure on opponents, and that's where their goals were coming from, with the exception of the pass today. Really,
I thought even Huberdeau had good progression in his game today. I know last year people ripped on him for passing far too much, but tonight he was making the passes, but they were the ones that you want to see. He had some great chances in tight. He was in the mix, and having DeSimone as the trailer, boom, look at that. Our boys on a little bitty point streak.
Yeah. And I think we're not really, I don't think we're supposed to just look at the comments and respond the whole show. But, I do see someone here. We're going to get to Jacob Markstrom later, because it's weird because he allowed 4 goals. But I also think, man, he had some big, particularly in that third period, that really gave the Flames a chance. Robert points in the last 6. I do believe that the Ottawa game, the 4-1 loss to Ottawa last Saturday, is in that mix. So it's not points, it's points in 6 of the last 7. But they're 4-1-2 in the last 7. You've got it like that. What I think about Backlund, we're going to get to that, because we're going to talk about Elliot Friedman, because Friedman definitely had some information that I think is important, but we are going to get to that. Before we do, though, I want to talk to you guys for a minute about Betway. The highlight of the night is presented by Betway. You can get the Betway app on your phone. Bet the responsible way with Betway. I don't think there's no surprises here. We can spoil it. There are obviously, look at this, man. This pass from Kadri is just so sick. Possibly using that speed. That's something we haven't seen from this. I don't think this team has had the speed that Pospisil has. And and then just, the patience to wait him out, put it up there. Love that. Yeah,
I'd argue that there was speed with Walker Duehr, but obviously less effective than Pospisil has been.
Yeah, and I am a big Walker. I thought he was great last year. But he's not in the lineup right now. For me, though, I it's hard to come up with new things to say about Pospisil or Zary, because they've come in and it's just every game. I know Zary, I don't think they had points last game, but every single game these guys are producing. And when last year when Darryl talked about calling up Peltier, getting Duehr in the lineup, it was like, they bring it to the dressing room, all of this. And Walker Duehr actually put up some decent numbers last year in a 4th line role. We really didn't see the production with Peltier. That's not to say that we're not going to see it. Peltier is very young. I liked a lot of his game, but we didn't see this. We didn't see these guys being, honestly, and I'll argue, game changers, because it's not school. Pospisil also on was a Uyghur's goal is there. He's creating a distraction in front of the net. That goal doesn't happen without him. I don't think he's going to get a point on it, but
no, I
he's
think there was some
he's
debate
doing all the
whether he
things you want to
touched it or
see.
not,
Honestly, when we watched the replay back, he definitely didn't touch it. But it's still, he was doing the screening. It's not just speed. It's not just, so I think it goes so far beyond what we were hearing last year about bringing young guys up and the energy they brought in the dressing room, we're seeing it tangibly with results right now. And I be perfectly honest with you that I sort of can't believe it. I did not know Connor Zary was this good. I covered the Wranglers playoffs last year, and he was largely in a fourth line role. He was pretty low on my list of sort of, shiny new things in terms of prospects. Part of that was that 2 years ago, he broke his ankle, so he didn't have a great first year in the AHL. But this is exceptional. It's been a long time since we've seen a rookie come into Calgary and play this well. And then Pospisil, everything I'd heard, I'm going to be like, I didn't get to watch much of him with the Wranglers last year. So he was a bit of a curiosity, but everything we kind of heard is this, you'd expect him to be a fourth liner. He was a guy who hit, who had an edge to his game. But nobody told me was that he was basically going to be a point a game player for his first 7-8 games of the NHL and scoring beautiful highlight rate real goals. I mean, this guy may be a star in Calgary.
We could debate like whether the clip is sustainable, but for now it is so fun to watch. Like, it was difficult because obviously we're going to do the Hungry for More segment later in the show, but I want to see more. I like his push. Obviously, he's contributing offensively. He's like almost a point per game. He's getting his line mates going. He's going in the tough areas. He's getting in the faces of stars, whether it was against Vancouver, against Sorokin tonight. And it's his birthday tomorrow.
Yeah, birthday, Martin Pospisil. I'm sure you're watching the Afterburner, but you're right. I mean, he had that hit on Quinn Hughes against Vancouver that it really seemed to throw the Canucks off. They began doing some dumb things and really trying to get at him. So you're right. Like, it's not, I don't actually care if he's a point a game player. I don't expect him to be. Obviously, he's not going to be putting up numbers like this all season. There will be dips. He's a young player, but everything that he's brought, I do not think it is a coincidence. I will also say, like, 6-game losing streak followed by these 7 much better games. Like, let us not ignore that Rasmus Andersson was gone for 4 of those losses. When your number one defenseman is suspended and not playing, that makes a difference. But at the same time that he comes back, you get these young guys, and it's transformed the team. I honestly, I can't really believe it. And look how much better Kadri is. I saw someone saying you got to try Lindholm out with new line mates. I'm not actually saying this. I have no inside information, but Lindholm must be like begging Huska, let me play with these kids. Right? Let me play with these kids. He must be jealous of Kadri.
Have any more of them? Send them now.
I know. Well, I don't know. Well, I mean, I do think that we'll obviously see Peltier in January when he's back, and I think that's going
to be because there was a tangible difference when he made some of his first starts last year. He was a shot in the ass for Huberdeau.
Yeah, zero part of me was trying to say that he was bad. I'm just saying,
not at all.
He wasn't this. Yeah, Huska said Peltier had taken a huge leap this summer, and he, like, when Peltier got hurt in training camp, Huska said it. He was like, "Oh, that guy was going to make the team. Like, he brought it in. He had a role to play. So he is another guy who I do think we're going to see good things. And then with a little bit of patience, I imagine Coronado is going to get there soon.
I was just thinking, I wonder how difficult this is for Matt to watch.
If he's the athlete that I think he is and the person that I think he is, I think he's watching and it's saying, okay, that's the level I got to get, motivating and pushing him. That's what you hope for. And he's been doing pretty well in the AHL. I don't think he's that far off, but I do think that we saw he needed a little bit of time, in his stretch of games here at the beginning of the year. I don't think he looked fully NHL ready yet, which is no surprise. He was college last year. It's a big leap. And I think it's great for him that he's getting a little time in the AHL. I think that's what the AHL is for. Yeah.
What's the rush?
Yeah. But it's possible all 4 of those guys, come January, February, the Flames could have 4 young guys. And if Conroy starts wheeling and dealing, which we're going to get to in a second, you may be bringing a lot more young guys in. We talk about Crown Royal. If I can find my ad
that nice little bottle,
a nice
right
little
over
bottle.
Your shoulder.
Yeah,
it's looking a little full, Danny.
We love Crown Royal. Crown Royal, guys. The generous guy. Generosity lives in the small things. Crown Royal, crown everything.
And not just your teeth, because you're getting old.
There's no way to be generous. There's no one way to be generous. There's endless ways, and a crown for everyone. Crown Royal, everything. Generosity lives in the small things. It doesn't need money or an audience or even acknowledgement. It just needs a few good people. Crown Royal, crown everything. The generous guy.
Things.
Yeah, you take the lead on the generous guy a little bit here, because you were the one. I had to drive from the Saddle Dome to get here during intermission.
And I was busy being locked out at the
Yes, Cami arrived before the game, not realizing she needed a key to get into the studio. But yeah, so you watched this Elliot Friedman segment. I believe we have it available to play, but why
we have it queued up here in a second here, but really, like, and this was the lead for Saturday headlines, largely talking about the defenseman. Doesn't sound like anything is really imminent on the trade front, but Conroy's taking a ton of calls, as he should. Let people offer things up. And the debate now, whether teams could, or potential trade partners could have the chance to talk to players about what an extension could look like, should they manage to make a move to acquire one of them. So let's hear from Freed here.
Everybody knows there's been a lot of talk about Calgary's defensemen in particular. Nothing imminent. I think, no doubt, though, they're taking a lot of calls, and there's definitely been a lot of conversation about what they want to do and when they want to do it. I think one of the things that's going to develop here that some of the teams interested in trading with want to know is, will we get to a point where the Flames allow these teams to talk to some of these players about extensions? That could improve the deal for Calgary. We'll see where that goes over the next little while. But the other thing that happened in Calgary this week came from their captain, Michael Backlund. From what I understand, Backlund spoke to some of the players. I don't know if it was in a group or if it was one-on-one, but he said, we have to end the noise. There are too many distractions around the team. You remember what happened last Friday night with Zadorov? He just said, enough of that. We have to concentrate on playing. If you don't want to be here, let the general manager know, and we'll figure it out. But for as long as you're here, no more noise. We have to play. And it's one of the reasons that Calgary had a pretty good week.
So I did see in the comments someone mentioned that Backlund is not captain material. But for you, is that the biggest stand we've heard of Michael Backlund taking from a leadership perspective?
Yeah, and I think it's important. And I think that the captain thing is honestly hard for any of us who aren't in the locker room to judge. I think that the leadership stuff happens behind the scenes. I think the fact that he's playing with Huberdeau, who we know, he can bring along, the fact that they trust him with young guys, possibly still started there alongside him, important. But this is big because, I was at practice all week.
Mm-hmm.
The Flames returned from that Eastern Canadian road trip and were immediately met with questions about Zadorov's trade request. And I don't think that the organization wanted that. I think obviously the organization was saying, hey, look, we're playing pretty well. Ask us about that. Ask us about Jacob Markstrom being incredible against Montreal. And instead, they were being asked questions about a trade request. And that's annoying, to be perfectly honest. I'm sure from a marketing perspective, you're not particularly pleased that, we're finally playing well and no one's talking about it. So I do think that, hey, we got to cut down the noise. That is the message you want your captains sending. And the respect that people have for Backlund in the locker room means that I think he may be a softer form of leadership. It may not be in guys' faces and telling them off. But if we were blaming his leadership on the 6-game losing streak, we sort of have to give him some credit for the job he's doing as captain when they're on the run now, don't we?
I was just going to ask you, if this is how things went down, is it a credit to the improved play that we've seen from Calgary this week?
Yes, I think so. Don't you? Yeah, I absolutely do. And I wrote about this. Eric Francis wrote this. This has been written about by a fair number of people. But the interesting thing is that with all this noise, they've also managed to play pretty well. So I do think that they've done a good job blocking it out and leaving it to the side. I don't know what Zadorov's relationship with the rest of the team is. I was very critical of him on last Friday's runner. The news came out obviously immediately after the Toronto game. And so Ryan Pike and I were sitting here kind of shocked trying to unpack it. And I do think that, if Zadorov being the guy saying, stop playing as individuals, and then 2 weeks later making a trade request, I don't think that could have gone over particularly well with his teammates.
Oh no, especially if they found out over social media. If you're starting on your phone, if you just tweeted that I needed to pick my shit up and I just saw that, I don't even know how I would address that with you right here, right now. So
yeah, and I think we heard back when I learned about that from Twitter. But look, I mean, on this one, I think it's a no-brainer. Good on Backlund. This team is having to deal with all these UFA we're going to talk about in a second, because of, again, what Elliot was saying about the Flames taking calls and being willing to listen. Yeah, it's got to be. Think about, you're sitting there and that's all anyone's talking about. That's going to affect you as a person. Whether it affects you as a player on the ice or not, I don't know. But good on Backlund for Tell them, hey guys, cut it out. Let's focus on what we got to focus on. If you and your agent got to take care of stuff, leave it out of the locker room. Keep it out of the media, as much as me as a media member doesn't want them to keep it out of the media. Because honestly, with the way that they're playing right now, I think that there should be a focus on the improvements and these young guys in particular. And sort of, I'm seeing it. I'm hearing it. I'm seeing it in the chat. I'm hearing it on Twitter. I'm seeing it from friends around there. The city is excited about these young guys. And I have no doubt if you're Craig Conroy, if you're anyone in that management team, if you're Murray Edwards, you're probably saying, oh, look what happens. You get good young guys. Calgary is a hockey city, and they're going to fall in love with them real quick. And that maybe if you were saying, oh, no rebuild, maybe you see the passion and that support for the young players, and it begins to lead you down that path towards thinking, actually, bringing youth in could be good for the organization and good for the franchise.
So that's kind of like what the external perception could be. But you do also have, I'm not around the team that much this year now, but you do have the opportunity to be in that room to a degree far more than the average person. How would you describe the vibe in there now compared to 2-3 weeks ago?
I mean, compared to last season, it's night and day. It's a million times better. They're a happier group.
Anything was better than last season.
Anything was better than last season. It was miserable there last year. And yeah, it's as I said with Kadri, when we were like, oh, take accountability, and actually it turns out Kadri's completely right, and we were all just wrong and needed to have a little bit of patience with his game. I think that they are doing a better job dealing with the adversity that comes with the hockey season. It comes with being a team. I think they're doing a much better job with it, and it is more positive, and people roll their eyes at that. But last year was miserable. This year, I think them being a little more supportive of one another and maybe just a little bit happier to come to the rink, I do think it makes a difference. Now, you heard Friedman say it. They're taking calls. They're listening. I don't think that this last 7 games does anything to change the approach that Conroy is likely taking. He still knows you can't be re-signing these guys because you had a good 7-game stretch. That's not how Craig is operating. He's looking at the team as a whole. They're still not in the playoffs. But the fact that they're taking calls, and I don't think it is a small thing when he says teams are going to want to be able to talk about these guys, talk with these guys about extending.
It's about
that clearly
waiting
indicates
until the
that
iron is hot as well, though. You in a situation where Taylor Hall wants out of Edmonton.
Mhm.
People, they sold low on him. They got Adam Larson back. No shade to Adam Larson, but you don't want to get hauled in this. You have to
No.
wait. The timing has to be right. The deal has to be right.
Sure, I think Zadorov one who I still think there's probably a little bit of an incentive to move him quickly. I just don't. I don't think you can go public with that. I don't think you just give him what he wants, and I don't think you take less than you deserve.
Why does he have to be quick about it?
Oh, I don't think
We've seen players wait 2 seasons with trade requests hanging in the air.
For sure. And I'm not saying because of the trade request, but I'm saying because of how I feel it probably went down in the locker room. I feel like the team may want him out. The team may be done with him. Like, cool, man, you want to get traded here. And it might just be good for the organization. I mean, the way Nick DeSimone's playing, we're going to talk about him in a bit. Like, Zadarov's your 5th defenseman. You don't need him. If right now is that, hey, we're going to have to be trading these guys anyways, there's a deal out there. I don't see why you wouldn't do it. The rest, I think you wait. Until the trade deadline. Tanev, there's a part of me because of his injury history that's like, if teams are coming calling now, you might want to trade him now so that he, just in case he were to get hurt at trade deadline, and then no one would have any offers. But other than that, see how it plays out, in my opinion. That's clearly what Conroy is doing. I mean, if you're a fan, this is what you want to hear, isn't it?
Which part?
That he's taking calls, that they are listening.
You need to. That's just due diligence. It's like every time we heard Brad Treliving is making calls on this guy, it's like, I would certainly hope so.
Yeah. All right. I believe we're gonna call for a break. Jack, hit us up. We'll be right back, guys.
I want to say a big thank you to one of our proud sponsors of Afterburner. In fact, our first sponsor of Afterburner, the original OG. It's Mandeep and our pals at BK Beaufort Liquor. They're located, you know where they are, right across from the Winsport facility on the Trans-Canada Highway. Get on that off ramp, head up there, stock up if you're heading out of the city. Maybe it's a vacation on the weekend. Maybe you're looking for a 6-pack, a special bottle of wine, or it's a special occasion. Whatever it is, stop by BK Beaufort Liquor, say hello, stop in, stock up on your way out of town, or maybe if you're just flying by in the Northwest, you can find them on Twitter at BK Liquor and on Instagram at BK Beaufort Liquor. Thanks, Mandeep.
Wendy's is letting you win real food with your fantasy team this year with the Wendy's Daily Face-Off Survivor Pool. Wendy's is rewarding you with weekly prizes that will have you winning despite your lack of team-building skills. Download the Wendy's app, score yourself 150 bonus reward points on your first order, and grab a sweet victory from the mouth-watering jaws of defeat along with some fresh, never-frozen beef. Put your prediction skills to the test and score yourself 1,300 bonus points if you win the week. Use your points to grab your favorite menu items at Wendy's. Sign up to play Wendy's Daily Face-Off Survivor Pool to win weekly prizes like the spicy chicken sandwich from Wendy's and the Wendy's app.
It's hockey season. Get ready to cheer on your favorite teams with us at the Stage Bar at the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Enjoy the game on one of their huge, large screens with friends, drinks, and delicious food. Let's go. Visit GreyEagleResortAndCasino.ca for more information. How about this information? Happy hour. Doesn't get much happier than this. 3 hours of happy hour. Let's make the most of the day and your afternoons with great drinks and food. Join us at the Stage Bar and Blaze Bar and Grill for the new happy hour. Every day, 2 till 5. Great food, specialty drinks, all starting at $5. Visit GreyEagleResortAndCasino.ca for more information.
See, you got the dulcet tones of Pinder for the night.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about Jacob Markstrom here. And I will say I was asked for in the chat, someone asked for a Grey Cup prediction. I will give that at the end. Hard to come on and be like, oh my God, Jacob Markstrom was amazing when he allowed 4 goals. And I get that. So I don't want to just say he played a perfect game, but this is another one of those games. I think we've seen a lot of them where even if Markstrom allows a couple goals, he's coming up with the big saves in the big moments. And I'm not actually worried about the 4 goals against. That's more of a defense.
They weren't exactly ham sandwiches that he left in either. 2 of them are off turnovers from their offensemen. Pretty wide open shots where the guys had their choice of shot. Like, more often than not, they are going to score on those. Yeah,
exactly. And it's more the big saves. And I think if we go back, like, I mean, his numbers, I don't have them up in front of me. I probably should have done that in the break. But his numbers have really, really rebounded from last. It's more the big saves. And I think that was at times things we were missing. Like, you need your goalie to come up with the big moments and that allow you to ultimately do what they did today and come back from being down 2 goals and, come back from being down in the third period. Do you remember that this team just couldn't win games when they were down after 2 periods? Like, it was just a real big thing. They do it now. And I do think part of that is because Markstrom makes those saves that gives them the opportunity. And it's sort of been going into this season. I think that if you'd asked me my three players I was most like, you need bounce back years. Number 1 was Markstrom. He's given it to us. Number 2, I think we needed it from Kadri. Huberdeau would have been number 2, and we're not getting it. But those 3, and I think we're getting those bounce backs from Kadri and Markstrom, and I do think it's part of why. I
mean, we saw the Vezina caliber season from Markstrom. We saw last season. The reality is that he is somewhere in the middle. That is who he is as a goaltender. And what I'm really happy to see this year is that there's a frantic element that was in his game last season that we have not seen really so far. There were a couple of, the goal on the first couple shots at the start of the season, but he's really in, and you go through their past couple games, like the save percentage, not amazing, but sure, tonight let him 4, but before that, 2, 1, 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's a massive improvement, and it has to give the team a lot of confidence, especially having some young blue liners in the mix.
Yeah. And again, I'm not like, if I'm grading them, which I don't know why I'm doing, I don't give grades out, but I'm giving him a solid B tonight. Did allow 4 goals. They're not on him. But in the third period, there were a couple times where I was like, oh, even in overtime, he had a couple big saves.
But often, like, those big saves come right before the Flames were able to make a big push of their own. And in one case, it did lead to a goal.
Yeah.
It came directly after he made a massive stop.
Yep. before we get to DoorDash and the hungry for more, what did you think of Shootout tonight?
I thought it was a big step forward.
Did you? Okay.
I did. I didn't think he looked. I don't think I'd say he looked lost. I mean, the shootout was a poor way to end his night. But he
And the
was
shootout
making
was
some very
terrible.
heads-up plays.
Yep.
You know, he was making passes that kept things going. You saw him really hustling to get to pucks. And I know, like, he was trying to redirect the Michael Backlund shot. Then he gets the helper on the Coleman goal. And he's got his little 2-game-point streak now, and you can see guys are still celebrating. And I will say, the other night when he got the goal, we saw the big celebration on TV, but I was in the Xbox that night, and even 5 minutes afterwards, guys, like as soon as they got the chance to get close to him on the bench, they were reaching around to like poke him with their stick or bump him on the head. Like they love that for him, and I wish that even if he didn't score, I wish he got a better shot away than that, because then I think we'd be talking about his game in a more positive.
Yeah, there were still more turnovers than I would like, and I'm not just trying to be Mr. Negative here, but I did not think he had a perfect game. I do think we're beginning to see some moments where he looks a little bit more confident, and I really like that they're putting with Coleman and Backlund. I just sort of think takes the pressure off, be producing at first line,
He was a great fit with DeSimone. I liked it when they were on the ice together.
Huberto?
Yeah.
Okay, I did not notice that. So we're gonna get to DeSimone. Before we do, let me talk to you guys about DoorDash. With restaurants, grocery, pharmacies, bakeries, flower shops, and more, DoorDash really has everything you need. Ordering is easy. Just open the DoorDash app, choose what you want from where you want, and your items will be left safely outside your door with your default contactless delivering setting. With Double Dash on DoorDash, you can order from multiple restaurants or stores in the same delivery without additional delivery fees. So everyone can get what they want and need. Don't worry about cooking dinner or running to the store. All come to you with DoorDash. And for a limited time, our listeners here on the Afterburner, you get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on your first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter code NATION25. That's 25% off, up to a $10 value, and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code NATION25. Don't forget, that's code NATION25 for 25% off your first order with DoorDash. Offers valid in Canada, subject to change, and terms apply. Dash that for the win.
Thank you, DoorDash. You saved my life tonight, and I did use the code, actually.
Good.
Burrito in a hockey game.
Yeah.
Big cushy couch here in the studio. Big TV. Perfect.
The medium meal was ribs today at the Saddledome. It was delicious. Hungry for more. It's a segment. We pick a player. They were either good, they were bad, but we want to see more of them.
There are a couple of people we could have picked tonight.
Oh yeah, there always are. But I just think Nick DeSimone is such an awesome story. Another assist. He's got what?
4 assists in 3 straight games, and he had the multi-point game against Nashville. What do you know? They're going to face them again this week.
Yeah. I mean, 4 points in 7 games coming up. I know that he played last year, but this is in a lot of ways. I mean, this is his first extended stretch in the NHL. I think his story, I mean, people know his story, so I don't want to go too into it, but this is a guy who had to play 337 games in the AHL. He's 28. I asked a couple of the Flames defensemen, Rasmus, Noah Hannafin, and Mackenzie Weegar, about just the respect that they have for a guy like that who had to grind for so long. And they were all like, man, there must have been moments where this guy did not think it was going to happen, and that he was better off maybe going to Europe or even quitting hockey. Like, they just have so much respect for the fact that he stuck with it and now has been given this opportunity. And he played 4 games last year. He's got 7 on the season this year. He's not going anywhere. This guy is not getting dropped. I do not see them bringing Dennis Gilbert back right now. I think it's DeSimone. And I just think it's amazing. And nice little assist there tonight. I thought it was a heads up play. Had the confidence as a guy without a lot of games to go into the offensive zone, to basically be right at the side of the net to make that pass. I think it's just a story that everyone should be able to get behind on a human level. I don't have like a ton of in-depth analytical analysis of his game. I love it. It's kind of like it's one of those stories that makes you like covering sports as a living, if I'm being honest. So I just kind of wanted to highlight that because I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, similar sample size right now to when he did get that brief call up last season. And last year it was 4 games, no goals, no assists. He was a -4. He goes back to the A and fantastic, fantastic, especially in playoffs. He had 2 goals and 4 assists in 9 playoff games at +6. Like, you love that. And now he's up to 7 games. Oh, pardon me. Yeah, 7 games now, but Elite Prospects hasn't updated. But yeah, 4th assist in 6 games, +1 rating.
Yeah.
You're not mad at that.
Well, and
It's
he
more than
wasn't
serviceable.
again coming out of training camp. He was not. I mean, I think it was part of that. Like, they knew that he was a possibility, but he again had to start the season in the AHL, and whatever negatives, certainly I have said many about the Flames over the years, but I do think that, man, we're seeing the work that's being done in the AHL for this organization with the Wranglers is getting guys who are literally ready to come in and hit the ground running when they get the call up to the NHL. Really important, and I think it speaks volumes, and again is why I believe that if you're going to trade, and I think that they should trade, but if they're going to trade these UFAs and try to get young players in, I think you have a little bit of confidence that your development system is going to be able to bring out the best in them. And that's a real asset for any sports team in addition, don't you think?
Absolutely. It does make you a little bit excited to think about the offensive upside of a player like Jeremy Poirier.
Yeah.
Defensive side still probably not there, but man, like, we're seeing these guys do so well. I'm just itching to see what he could do at this level,
Mm-hmm.
The guy can score.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while. Unfortunately, with him. And I'm seeing apparently there's a couple audio.
About Zary. Yes, said that about Zary.
Apparently there are some audio issues. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that. I do apologize if people are picking that up. We're doing our best here.
That's just the way our voices are.
A little bit closer. Let's see if that makes a difference. I don't know. Let's talk about Village Honda. Northwest Auto Mall and online at villagehonda.com. We have new in-stock inventory on ground. Start your automotive adventures at Village Honda, where new vehicle pricing is MSRP. Village Honda has a huge selection of used vehicles, all makes, all models for all budgets, with over 70 units on site and access to over 400 more in the dealer group. Make Village Honda your one-stop automotive destination in Calgary. They are definitely worth the trip. Village Honda is located in the Northwest Auto Mall. Road ahead. Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule, because they are about to embark on a long road trip.
Yeah, we got a 4-game roadie coming up Monday. They've got the Seattle Kraken. Calgary did double them up on November 4th, and that game was where one Martin Pospisil got his first NHL goal.
There you go. Calgary always plays well in Seattle. This is one I think that just when you look at what else is coming up for the rest of November, I mean, we'll go over quickly. The 22nd, you have Nashville, another game that I think you'd feel like you could take points from. But then you have Dallas in Dallas, Colorado in Colorado. That's a back-to-back. That Colorado game, you got to worry about a little bit. And then you're home for Vegas and then Dallas again. That's a tough run of games. So
you have a very young team, the top 2 teams in the Central, and the champs with the second best goal differential in the NHL.
Yeah. But I just think that it sort of puts a little bit of an emphasis on how badly you want to take points out of Seattle and out of Nashville. I don't know what that is. We're in an empty studio and there's just noises around. What can you do? What would you expect? Would you say going 500 over Seattle, Nashville, Dallas, Colorado, Vegas, Dallas? 500 you're happy with?
Depends what you want to happen going forward. Like, I know that's the easy out, but that's literally where it's at. But no, I think you want to be above 500. Like, really, that's what New York is leaving their disaster road trip with. 100.
Yeah. I do like this chair. I hope I'm saying their name right. I was just saying, has all the confidence. They think that the Flames are going to win 5-1, maybe even 7-1 against Colorado. Love confidence. I don't see it happening at all, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But I don't know. I think this is a tough stretch. I honestly think that this Flames team, I still want to be realistic think a road trip like that, if you get 4 points from that, I think I'm okay.
You don't picture them rising to the occasion with the confidence they have right now?
I mean, they still lost in the shootout tonight to a New York Islanders team that isn't very good. So I'm very positive about the way that they're playing right now. I hope it's coming across, but I'm still not sure that they're, that they're a great hockey team just now. I think that they're a good hockey team. I think they're a capable hockey team. I think on their night they can beat good teams, but no, I'm not at this point at all where I think this team's gonna win 3 or 4. When those games include Dallas, who I think is a really good hockey team, and Colorado. But prove me wrong. I mean,
honestly, I think Dallas is the one you're most worried about.
Yeah, Dallas seems good. You know what? We're gonna come back here in a second.
We're gonna go check on the ghost.
Yeah, I think we got to touch on the Lucic thing. We'll take a look at the other time scoreboard. But let's go to our second break here real quick, and then we'll be right back. Thanks.
Greta, it's our home away from home for Afterburner. We'll be there for live watch parties throughout the season. Should be your spot regardless. Before, during, and after the game, grab a cocktail, something from the menu, let the games begin, or maybe you get into the game yourself. Over 50 arcade games from vintage to state-of-the-art. Load up some credits on that Greta game card of yours and get at it. Greta Calgary, located at 213 10th Avenue Southwest. Check them out online, gretabar.com.
Derek Newman of Newman Dean's Real Estate Group is a proud sponsor of Afterburner. He, with CIR Realty, whether you're buying or selling, they're the people you talk to. Let Derek do the work for you. Give him an email, dnewman@cirrealty.ca, or give him a call, 403-619-6661. They can do home staging. It's incredibly low pressure. You can get a quote, what you think a market assessment is for your place. Also, Derek, with his huge network of people in his world, can find homes that aren't even on the market yet. If you're looking to buy, he's going to hunt down the perfect home for you. He'll go the extra mile. It's Derek Newman of Newman Dean's Real Estate Group with CIR Realty. Whether you're interested in buying or selling in the greater Calgary area, give him a call, 403-619-6661. Make it easy for you. Let Derek put his network to work for you.
Coming up in January, we'd love you to be there with us. We are going to Phoenix the 11th to 13th of January. It is the Barn Burner vacation to see the Flames take on the Coyotes. We got your hotels, we got your flights, we got your game tickets. Go to nationgear.ca to book yourself a spot, $14.99 based on double occupancy. You can book your spot now at nationgear.ca. That's the website. You'll find the link on the top. Avoid all the Oilers stuff. It's there, but just pretend it doesn't. nationgear.ca, and then book your spot in. They are moving. There's a limited quantity, obviously, but it's going to be a great time. Whether they're winning or losing, who cares? It's Phoenix in January. Go and watch some hockey, hang out, have a heck of a time. nationgear.ca, once again, to book yourself in for that. And it's brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. Memorable moments with Alberta Blue Cross. It's about cherishing past moments and making new ones. Alberta Blue Cross Travel Insurance helps you protect your memories and more. Wherever travel takes you, visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel for more information. Alberta Blue Cross, celebrating life's memorable moments inspired by hockey. Let's get back to the show.
All right, we're back. Yeah, I've been saying, I want to be clear, I'm not necessarily saying I'm not scared of Dallas. I just think Colorado's a good hockey team. And if we are, not that I was necessarily arguing that hard against it, but Colorado did beat Dallas. So just point for me is all I'm saying.
I think Colorado's playing with a little guilt because they're playing really poorly in front of Georgiev, and they had some losses coming in there.
Fair. Looking at that out of town scoreboard, we're not mention the Tampa beat Edmonton 6-4.
And this is best case scenario for people who hate the Oilers, but also really like Derek Ryan. He got 2 goals today, including a shorty.
Good for Derek Ryan.
Love that for him. And do you see James Hamblin?
No.
Okay, anyone has to love this. So Oilers gets his first career goal, immediately celebrates by saluting his mom who passed away from cancer. He's had that celebration locked and loaded for a couple of years now. So even though it's the Oilers, we'd love to see that for James Hamblin.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome.
Lovely.
Either way, that whole situation in Edmonton blows my mind. right now.
What, you
Beyond that,
can't win with 4 goals?
yeah. Beyond that, looking at it, Vancouver 1-0 on Seattle right now.
Courtesy JT Miller.
That only makes the Flames game, the Flames win earlier this week over that Vancouver team, more impressive. That one, if things go right, and you were right that this is actually a team that is capable of on a good run, which I'm not discounting by any means. I'm just talking this particular stretch. I don't think it's going to happen. I do think we'll look back at that Vancouver win and be like, wow, that's where this team started to believe in itself a little bit, because that was such a huge win. I am seeing a lot of people. I do apologize that the audio is glitching, guys. Not sure what to do there. But I do see a lot of people bring up the power play, and that is one area.
It was not great.
It was not great
to watch
today. 26th in the league, 12.7%. Yeah, it's not clicking right now. I'd expect them to tinker with it a little bit, and it's a work in progress. But
I mean, you just need to not take penalties the moment you get a power play.
Yep, that happened twice today, right? Yeah, it was Huberdeau on the high stick, which was,
and then Hannafin slash and call 45 seconds in.
Yeah. Those that certainly doesn't help, Cami. You're right, but it's an area. I mean, I have faith that Mark Savard is working on it and is going to try to bring out the best, but it's clearly not working, and that's an area where 12.7% is not good. I mean, there's some terrible power plays around the league right now.
Well, especially when, New York's penalty kill is supposed to be disastrous too.
Yeah.
Didn't see any of that.
Would you look like Huberdeau was out there? It would have been Huberdeau, Lindholm, Kadri, Zary, and Raz as the power play PP1 unit today. I don't know. Potentially you drop Huberdeau off that if you're me. But either way, yeah, that is, for the record, just all I'm saying is I just agree that, yeah, it's an area where I have concern. So we're talking about 10. I think it would be weird not to, or it would be distasteful not to just quickly bring up. Obviously, Milan Lucic was arrested for a incident this morning in Boston. I know that's something that has upset a lot of people.
Yeah, so he's on an indefinite leave from the team right now. I think more than anything, I think of his and Brittany's kids. Like, obviously cautioning that we're not aware of any charges or specifics of the allegations, but it's very serious, and they do have young kids who I just feel awful for in this situation. Like, the worst case scenario here, your dad, who these kids seem to idolize, we saw them at the rink all the time when he was here. In the worst case, their dad has harmed a member of their family and inflicted trauma on everyone else involved. The best case, they see their dad's mugshot out there. Someone probably has to explain to them where he is and what's going on, and they have to live with the fallout. So there is no winning for that family here. So just kind of echoing Brad Marchand's comments, like, the kids have all the support in the world as this works its way through the legal system.
For sure.
Beyond that, I don't think there's much more you can say.
No, I certainly don't have anything to add to that, but I agree with everything you're saying. We're going to take one final time out. Back in a moment.
Afterburner is sponsored by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/FlamesNation and get on your way to feeling your best self. I think it's great. I think we as men, we're starting to become a little bit more comfortable with being okay with being uncomfortable. It's okay to not be okay, to ask for help, to search out help and wonder why things are the way they are. And most importantly, try and get some answers. It can be an intimidating thing. It is a private thing, which is why BetterHelp is such a great option. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and it's suited to your schedule. You find the time and make it work for you. Fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists at any time, no additional charge, which is tremendous because it can be disheartening when you finally get to the point where you're going to ask for help and then the fit isn't quite right with your therapist. Therapy helps you to identify what the challenges are. You get into it and then start building some strategies, some coping skills to help you become the best version of yourself, to see those issues before they arise and try and steer clear. Make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/FlamesNation today. You'll get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/FlamesNation.
All right, and we're back. Some final here. I don't know. I just generally, I saw someone bring it up, and I do think it's worth bringing up because the last couple games at the Dome have been really actually like the vibe in the arena has been great, and I think the fans have done an amazing job. I actually wrote 700 words on their reaction to Huberdeau's goal. That's where we don't always have the rowdiest rink in the league, but when people, whether it was Darryl last year, whether it was Huska this year, they talk about Calgary fans being smart hockey fans, and that was just being good fans, and I certainly felt that energy in the rink for the first 2 periods that I was there for as well. So guys, keep coming out. I know it's hard to get to the Dome right now, but it's good energy. And again, as I said, I think people are, whether or not you think that a rebuild is necessary, and I have for many months been clear that I think that that's the right direction for this team to go. Yeah, I think it's been, you can feel people beginning to like this group of players, and I didn't always feel that last year. I felt like there was some toxicity, and it's a much better vibe around town and at the Dome this year. So.
I do think credit goes to the young kids. We enjoy their personalities. They've been really open and sharing their exuberance and what they're bringing to the room. That's been great to see. Before we do forget, though, your Grey Cup prediction.
Yeah, Montreal's going to win. I'm not going to go super into it, but Montreal's going to win. That defense is good enough. My friend Sean Lemon, Darnell Sankey, very excited this game. I will be watching with my friend John Bender.
They're just going to win out of pure spite because there was no French signage?
That's a very good football team. Anyways, no, I don't like Winnipeg winning. Jack, I'm pretty sure we're going to do a couple questions here, but yeah, my prediction is Montreal. I believe that we have questions coming up here. I'm going to get it over with because I'm not loving the audio issues. Cami, thank you. Certainly the Barn Burner guys are going to be back this week. They will be doing the Afterburner following the game against Seattle. This was fun, Cami. Thanks for doing this. You have a good time?
Oh, great. As they say in Pospisil's native Slovakia, zbohom.
That means goodbye in Slovakian.
Yes. I think.
Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.